So let's just focus in on this event. It was an e-petition which gave rise to a to a debate as a group of MPs, not a full parliamentary debate itself. Monday, the 24th of October, and we've got 3 clips of the live stream of that debate. Now, we have done a little bit of editing to keep them short, so some things have been brought together, but this gives our audience an overview as to what took place. So let's have a look at the opening, and this is in one clip, and then we'll have a little bit of discussion.
The proceeding will start shortly.
I beg to move that this House has considered e-petition 602171 relating to the safety of the COVID-19 vaccines. On behalf of the Petitions Committee, I will read out the prayer of this petition, which states that there has been a significant increase in heart attacks and related health issues since the rollout of the COVID-19 vaccines. This needs immediate and full scientific investigation to establish if there's any possible link with the COVID-19 vaccination rollout. It is the duty of government to ensure that the prescribed medical interventions of its response to coronavirus are safe. We believe that the recent and increasing volume of data relating to cardiovascular problems since the COVID-19 vaccine rollout began is enough to warrant a full public inquiry. This petition has amassed over 107,000 signatures, including signatories from my own Carshalton and Wallington constituency. And I'd like to first begin by putting on record my gratitude to the Petitions Committee clerks and the team behind the scenes for organising today's debate, but also particularly the Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency, or MHRA, who met with me recently to brief me on their vaccine safety surveillance strategy. Now, Sir Roger, throughout the course of my speech, I'll be pointing out why I do not think that the government should be launching a public inquiry into vaccine safety. I think it would be a waste of taxpayers' money. I will gladly give way.
I'm very grateful to my honourable friend. He's obviously done a lot of preparation for this debate. Can I ask him whether part of that preparation includes having looked at the Oracle Films Safe and Effective A Second Opinion, which was produced about a month ago and has already had more than 1 million views online, and most people think is highly persuasive?
I'm grateful to my honourable friend for that intervention. I've not seen the publication he mentions. I have read a lot of the significant amounts of material that have been shoved through my constituency office door by a large number of anti-vax protesters in my own constituency who have fly-posted my office on no less than a dozen occasions, intimidating my 18-year-old apprentice and the people who live above my constituency office. And considering the content of that literature includes climate change denial, moon landing denial, etc., I'm inclined to ignore their content completely.
So I know what my thoughts were when I heard that outburst by that gentleman. Debbie, over to you. What did you make of his response to Sir Christopher Chope interjecting there?
Well, you probably can see the smoke coming out of my head. I mean, who is this man? You know, let's look at it. He's prepared, well prepared. I don't think so. He hadn't obviously seen the film. He doesn't appear to have spoken to the vaccine injured. And yet he's had a meeting with the MHRA. Well, I would really love to know when that meeting took place and why Sir Christopher Chope wasn't invited to it. I was absolutely horrified. But just very quickly, I just want to let people know I've done a little bit of homework on Elliot Gould. And having worked in the Department of Health myself as a government advisor, I saw the way these little parliamentary assistants were running around ministers. It was all a little bit uncomfortable to watch. They were very keen to be noticed. Elliot Gould was one of these parliamentary assistants, and he was also involved in public affairs, which gets me a little bit worried. He's openly gay. He's a supporter of trans rights and an open supporter of trans rights. In fact, he's even on the APPG for the global LBGT rights and hate crime. So I'm very concerned that is he muddling up hate crime with information? Is he getting it muddled with conspiracy theories and misinformation because he seems to be so involved in hate crime? And a waste of taxpayers' money. Excuse me. I mean, And do you know what? One other thing, very quickly, the term anti-vaxxers, I really do have to object to this term anti-vaxxers. It has been used far too broadly. There are plenty of people who are not anti-vaxxers and are vaccine, in inverted commas, cautious. So yes, gentlemen, that I'm quite upset by that clip, and it provoked quite a reaction, as you can probably tell.
Well, I'm going to agree, Debbie. I think he's got an extremely muddled head, but of course, he's apparently had that discussion with the MHRA. That's fine. Let's see the minutes of the meeting. Let the public see what he discussed with the MHRA. That, of course, is all hidden for us. But what I thought was utterly shocking was effectively he calls Sir Christopher Chope a conspiracy theorist. That's what he does. And I'm a little bit surprised that Sir Christopher Chope didn't pick him up on it, because his response to a perfectly reasonable question about a very powerful video was so aggressive and dismissive. Well, let's just have a look at the second part. So this is another clip that we've extracted from the full video of the events on that day.
The position of the MHRA remains that the benefits of COVID-19 vaccine continue to outweigh the risks for most people. The surveillance strategy is working, as we've discussed. We're able to respond quickly to ensure safe administration of all COVID vaccines. And I would like to reiterate that the public should be very confident that all tests are completed to the very highest standards and that vaccines are safe. Mr. Chairman, despite the progress that we have made, we must not become complacent.
Mr. Chair. My honourable friend, the all-party parliamentary group for victims of vaccine damage, would you be willing to come and address that group in a private meeting so she can hear firsthand some of the concerns that members have got?
I thank my honourable friend for the question. He'll be aware of events today, and I will have to at least see whether I remain in post before committing potentially somebody else to such a decision. Mr. Chairman, despite the progress we've made, we haven't got to become complacent. We can't risk an increase in serious illness, hospitalisations and deaths from COVID. The UK HSA estimated that even by the end of September 2021, vaccinations had averted up to 128,000 deaths and 262,000 hospitalisations, and there will be many more. The government has already commissioned a public inquiry into the pandemic, and COVID vaccines will be reviewed as part of this inquiry. There are no plans for an inquiry solely on vaccine safety.
Well, there we are. I think I'm right in saying she's out of a job now. So she's been replaced, I think.
She was
Debbie,
a junior minister, and I'm not sure Debbie might know.
No, I haven't heard who's replaced her, but what I would say is I would be very doubtful if she's got her job, because she actually was supporting the return of Boris Johnson as leader. But very interestingly, I want people to know too who she is, because it's relevant. Dr. Caroline Jackson is a paediatrician, a consultant paediatrician. And she's also chair of the APPG group on for children and palliative care. She works as a part-time consultant as well. So she has an additional salary on top of her MP salary of £20,000 for working 336 hours a week, sorry, not a week, a year within the NHS. So if she does lose the job, she can be assured that probably she can increase her hours within the NHS.
Right, but she's got no worries at all, because what was she doing? She was simply trotting out the government, the party line. Everything is safe. And really her reaction again to Christopher Chope when he made that perfectly reasonable offer, would you like to meet some of the people who've been vaccine injured? She essentially scoffed at it.
Well,
because
and indeed, she may not be health minister anymore, but she's still an MP. She still could take an interest if she chose to.
Yeah, but it's just dismissed out of hand. It's the arrogance. Debbie.
Yeah, what I was going to say quickly was she'd also completely dismissed the fact that there was, I mean, it was like she was scripted from the MHRA. It was almost like an MHRA advertisement that she was reading out there. But what she was saying was that those with vaccine injuries would be rerouted into Baroness Hallett's COVID-19 inquiry. Well, I can tell you that the families that are already involved in Module 1 in the COVID-19 inquiry are already unhappy because they're not being listened to, they're not having their stories heard, and they're being rerouted into a listening, a kind of another forum where they're listened to, but their individual stories aren't taken into account. So this is a disaster waiting to happen, in my opinion.
Okay, thank you for that. Well, let's go into clip 3, the final of a clip that we have, which says a lot.
Thank you, Sir Roger. It's unusual that I'm in this place and I get lambasted by colleagues, but I make no apology, Sir Roger, for looking out for the health and well-being of my constituents. And I completely agree with the sentiments raised throughout the course of this afternoon's debate that we do have to do more, and I do urge the Minister to look into more what we can do for those who are adversely affected. But the thing that I will not apologise for is not allowing that to be a gateway to allow vaccine misinformation to come in to the mainstream. Some people have said that this debate is overdue. Well, I hasten to remind colleagues in my opening remarks, there has been 4 of these Petitions Committee debates alone, let alone the backbench business debates and private colleagues that have come forward to ask for debates. So this is not overdue. This has happened plenty of times. We've given a lot of parliamentary time to this. Yes, there is more that we can and must do for those that suffer harm, but it is worth reiterating that the system for approving and monitoring vaccines is robust. The inquiry exists already, and vaccines are a great British success story. It was a Brit that discovered vaccines in the way that we know them today, and that they have been effective in tackling a range of illnesses that would have previously been life-threatening or very dangerous indeed. The proof is that they work, that they are saving lives, and they protect yourself and others. So can I join the Minister in urging people to come forward for their vaccines this winter, help protect themselves, help protect others, and help make sure that the strain on our NHS is as minimal as possible. I beg to move.
The question is that this House considered e-petition 602171 relating to the safety of COVID-19 vaccines. As many of that opinion say aye. Contrary, no. Order, order. The ayes have it.
So there we are. I just think absolute disgrace because, of course, that MP not interested in people who've been injured at all. If he was, they would be there, they would be in front of that committee, and he would be hearing what their problems were. So what has he done? He's apparently had a meeting with the MHRA. He believes everything the MHRA have said to him. He follows the government policy. And if you dare to stand up and say you've been injured by a vaccine, then you're a vile conspiracy theorist and probably very aggressive in his book. This man's got some serious cognitive problems, I think. It seems to me that he doesn't know what reality is anymore. Debbie, maybe I'm being a bit hard on him.
No, I don't think you are at all, Brian. In fact, I think you're being very kind. My words would be, it would appear to me that he's giving out misinformation, disinformation, wrong information. We do not have robust regulation, clearly. The MHRA is a shell organisation. There's nothing with regards to safety going on behind it at all. It's surveillance. The UK has never been top of the tree with regards to vaccines. We've never manufactured a vaccine at this level ever before. So clearly he's wrong in that. To say that the vaccines work, clearly we know otherwise. So he is very, very, he's just not very well informed. But thanks to the wonderful Wayne, I would just like to say that there has been an email from Sir Christopher Chope's office this morning saying that there will be 2 more presentation bills with regards to the e-debate to be held on the 28th of October, the 2nd of December. There has been no date for the next APPG yet, but they are hoping there will be another APPG before Christmas. So that's just come through from Wayne as we were on air. So thank you very much, Wayne.
Can I just add, Brian, that obviously you've been focusing on that one individual, but I mean, how many people were in that room? 20 out of 650 MPs. I think everybody that's watching this should be identifying the 20 that are in that room, and if their particular MP wasn't in that room, I think they should be asking why.
That's true, but we also know that there are we think there was about 14 MPs in the room. We also know that there's at least 60 MPs, maybe more, that are showing an interest now in vaccine injuries, but many of them weren't at that particular event because they got such little notice that it was going to take place. And what I find interesting is this is exactly the type of diversion and stalling tactics that has been used in the past, not only with other other pharmaceutical injuries like epilim, for example, but also when we've got into other areas like child abuse. The date changed at short notice, the venue changes, MPs not given enough notice. And I believe that some of these techniques went on around this meeting.
Debbie.
Yeah, just also, my question would be, where's Jeremy Hunt? I realise that he's very busy with numbers as Chancellor. However, he is the founder member of Patient Safety Watch, and as an MP, and as he told me that he was extremely concerned about the serious adverse reactions from the COVID-19 injections, I would have expected either he to be there or for him to have sent a representative.
Yeah, thank you. Well, we just put up this Sky headline from a couple of days ago because this is the situation. COVID-19 inquiry focusing solely on the safety of vaccines will not be opened, the government says. And I would imagine that the vaccine manufacturers are feeling very happy about that.
Yeah, and they couldn't avoid putting the advert in.
Yeah, of course. Well, we just remind people that back in August, we did an interview with Mark Sharman, who was talking in a very detailed and moving way about vaccine injured people. And of course, he was referring to the video which Sir Christopher Chope mentioned in that debate. So if you want to have a listen to or watch this audio, and there is a little inserted clip from the video itself, we'd encourage you to do that. And I'll also remind people that UK Column did a really interesting interview with Sir Christopher Chope himself a little while ago. He was principally at that stage focused on the need for compensation because people who'd been damaged were then left unable to work and without incomes. But we know that his interest has spread. And we're also going to remind people that, of course, it's been the work of groups such as UK CV Family, which has brought together many people who've been vaccine damaged. It's been their voice that's been helping to promote wider interest and did, in fact, help push this meeting which has taken place. So we can see how vilely they're being treated. And as with the mums in Wales fighting for the minds of young children to protect them from the religious and sex education policy, UK CV Family also needs income if they're to carry on their fight for justice for people who've been damaged by vaccines. Well, I'll just move slightly sideways here, because if we wonder why